Hey everyone, welcome back to Swift Fundamentals. Today we're diving into optionals in Swift. Optionals are a unique feature in Swift that allow us to handle missing values safely. We're going to explore what optionals are, why they're useful, and how to safely unwrap them. We'll even build a simple sign-up form using optional fields. Let's go ahead and dive on in. All right, I'm going to create a new playground in Xcode, but if you'd like to work on this in Swift Playgrounds, or add it to an existing project, feel free to do so. So I'm just going to call this optionals playground. All right, I'm just going to open up my console in the bottom left here and also get rid of all the basic kind of template code there. So let's start off with the basics. What is an optional? So in Swift, an optional is a type that can hold either a value or nil, which represents an absence of value. This makes optionals perfect for fields where data might or might not be present, like a user's phone number. So let's go ahead and declare a variable here. I'm going to say var phone number, and we know that it's going to be a string. Then we're going to actually use the question mark here, and then we're going to say equals nil. Then let's go ahead and print the phone number and see what happens. So this is going to print nil. This is because here we defined phone number as an optional string. So with that question mark, we use that optional. Since it's optional, it can hold a string value or be nil, meaning no phone number is available. And we even have this warning here where it says expression implicitly coerced from string to any. And it's saying, hey, in order to fix this, please provide a default value to avoid this warning, force unwrap this value to avoid this warning. Let's go ahead and see how we can update the value of phone number and print it. So what we'll say is phone number now equals, I'll just do 123-555. I think that's what they do in the movies, right? If it's like a 555, it's a fake number. And then let's go ahead and now print the phone number. So now it's going to print optional 123-555, right? So this is because when we assign a value to phone number, we see that it's wrapped in an optional, meaning it could still be nil at some point. So since optionals might contain nil, accessing them directly can lead to crashes if they're empty. So to safely access an optional's value, we use unwrapping. Let's start with if let. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if let unwrapped phone number equals phone number. Let's go ahead and add a brace here because we're going to add some code. I'm going to go ahead and print the user's phone number is, let's interpolate, so we'll do / brackets. We'll say unwrapped phone number. We're then going to say else print no phone number provided. So here, if let checks if the phone number contains a value. If it does, we can use the unwrapped phone number safely within the block. If it's nil or absence of value, we fall to the else block and print different messages. Using if let ensures we don't try to access a nil value, which keeps our code safe and prevents runtime crashes. So another way to unwrap optionals is guard let, which is my personal favorite here. It's similar to if let, but often used to exit a function early if an optional is nil. So if you want to validate that data up front, absolutely can. So let's go ahead and create a function here, and we'll call it sign up. Let's go ahead and add some parameters here. Oh, my fingers are all over the keyboard. We'll say that there's going to be an email, which is going to be a string, and we're going to make it an optional here with our question mark. Go ahead and add our brace here. And we're going to go ahead and type guard let unwrapped email equals email else. We're going to add a brace here. We're going to print email is required to sign up. Then we're going to go ahead and actually also return, oops. Then we're going to return And then here we'll say print signing up with email. Let's go ahead and interpolate our unwrapped email there. All right, let's go ahead and call upon this function 2 times. So we'll give it a email with the value of nil, and we'll give it with a email with a value of some example email. So we'll do sign up, and this time we'll put nil, so NIL, and we're gonna go ahead and then do sign up email, I don't know, example at yahoo.com. Do people still use Yahoo? Is that even still a thing? Am I showing my age here? All right, so what we can see here is in this function, guard_let checks if email has a value. If it doesn't, we print an error message and return early, preventing any further code execution within this function. And if we do have a value, so in this case, the example at yahoo.com, it will go to that function and complete it. So you can kind of use this guard_let for making sure that required values are present before proceeding with the rest of the function. And if there's any missing values later on, those will be caught and you'll exit or return out of that function super duper early, preventing any issues, weird bugs, or errors. And sometimes we want to, provide a default value when an optional is nil. For that, we can use the Nil-Coalescing Operator, which is 2 question marks, like so, which provides a fallback if the optional doesn't contain a value. Go ahead and create a variable here. We'll call it username. We'll say that's going to be a string. We'll add our question mark here, equals nil. Let's go ahead and print welcome, interpolate username. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say question mark guest. So what this is going to do is actually going to provide kind of like a default. So we can use those 2 question marks for a default, right? So let's go ahead and see if we update the username now to be, I don't know, Swifty. I'm thinking of Swifty for Swift coding, not for Taylor Swift, or maybe both, I don't know. Let's go ahead and now print our welcome. Let's interpolate our username once again. Username. Let's go ahead and also give it the optional to have guest. And we'll see, even though we've provided it with the default, it doesn't need to use it, right? If this username was, still nil, it would say welcome guest, but because we provided it with the Swifty, it uses the provided value instead. So you can see with the double question mark operator, so that Nil-Coalescing Operator, if username is nil, it defaults to guest. When we set the username to be Swifty, it uses the provided value instead. So you can kind of think of this Nil-Coalescing Operator as that default, that fallback, right? To make sure that, even if we don't have some value, we kind of have that default. So let's go ahead and put these concepts into action. Let's build a simple sign-up form with some optional fields. If you want to learn how to do this in Swift UI, I do also have some videos in my Swift UI series covering kind of creating forms, etc. So let's go ahead and create an email, phone number, and username variables. We'll make email non-optional and the others optionals. So let's go ahead and say variable email. This is going to be a string equals example at yahoo.com. And then we'll go ahead and make our other ones optionals. So we'll say variable phone number string equals nil, and variable username, which is also going to be a string. We're going to have that equal Swift user. All right, let's now create a function that prints the user's information, safely unwrapping the optional fields with if let. Create a function, display sign up summary. Don't need anything to be passed along there. And let's go ahead and say print email and then we'll interpolate our email value there. And just like with our array here, let's go ahead and add our main actor to fix any of those issues. All right, now let's create our if let statement. So we're going to say if let unwrapped phone equals phone number. I'm going to add a brace here, and we'll print phone number. We'll interpolate our unwrapped phone here. Then we'll say else. Then we'll print phone number not provided. All right, cool. And now let's print our username. And we'll interpolate our username here. And let's go ahead and use our Nil-Coalescing, say guest. Kind of, provide it with that backup. And let's go ahead and now display sign up summary. Let's go ahead and call it. So our phone number is nil. So it's going to go ahead and print not provided. And if username is nil, it's going to go ahead and default to guest. But of course, we have provided it with the Swift user. We're going to change this to be nil. We'll see that it updates to guest. So I can change this back to Swift user. So this example shows how we can use optionals in a real world form using if let and the double question mark operator. We handle missing values gracefully without disrupting the user experience. So that's it for optionals in Swift. Today we learned what optionals are, why they're essential for handling missing data, and how to safely unwrap them using if let, guard let, and that double question mark or Nil-Coalescing Operator. Much easier to say double question mark. But we built a simple sign-up form which lets us practice handling optional fields. Optionals are powerful in Swift. Mastering them will help you write safer and more reliable code. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, please like and subscribe for more Swift content. And until next time, dream big and code bigger. Take care, everyone.